Scarlett Ingrid Johansson was born on November 22, 1984 in New York City. Her father was an architect, born in Denmark, and her mother comes from a family of Jews who, according to some sources, immigrated from Eastern Europe. Scarlett has a sister, Vanessa Johansson, who is also an actress, a brother, Adrian, a twin brother, Hunter Johansson, born 3 minutes after her, and a half-brother, Christian, from her father's first marriage. Scarlett attended elementary school in Greenwich Village, Manhattan. As a child, she was particularly close to her maternal grandmother, Dorothy Sloan, who worked as a bookkeeper and Scarlett's schoolteacher. They often spent time together, and Johansson considered Dorothy her best friend. From an early age, Scarlett showed her creative potential, often arranging performances with songs and dances for relatives. She especially loved musical theater and took tap dancing lessons. In general, it's not hard to guess that Scarlett realized early enough what she wanted to be when she grew up. Trying to learn the basics of acting on her own, the girl often practiced standing in front of a mirror and once managed to force herself to cry, wanting to be like Judy Garland from the movie Meet Me in St. Louis. At the age of 7, Scarlett was devastated when a talent agent signed one of her brothers instead of her. Despite the agent's refusal, Scarlett did not give up the dream. In addition, her parents supported her choice of a future profession. She began studying at the Professional Children's School, a private educational institution for aspiring actors in Manhattan. Scarlett made her professional debut at the age of 8 in an off-Broadway production of Sophistry with Ethan Hawke at the New York Playwrights Horizons. Her film debut was at the age of 9. Scarlett played the daughter of John Ritter's character in the fantasy comedy North, released in 1994. Later, she appeared in the films Just Cause and If Lucy Fell. Scarlett also played the role of Amanda in the film Manny and Lo, where the parents of the young actress, her sister, and twin brother also appeared. Her acting in this film received a nomination for the Independent Spirit Award for Best Lead Actress and positive reviews. San Francisco Chronicle critic Mick LaSalle noted her peaceful aura. At the age of 13, Scarlett experienced a strong emotional shock when her parents announced that they were going to divorce. Her mother moved to California, while Scarlett, as well as her brothers and father, remained in New York. Later, the actress said that at the time, the older brother was very caring of the family. In 1997, Scarlett played supporting roles in the films Fall and Home Alone 3. Even at the age of 13, Johansson demonstrated an adult, intense style of acting. She already had a hoarse, harsh voice, which eventually became her calling card.
For the rest of your life, if you call for help, it won't come.
A year later, she appeared in the movie The Horse Whisperer, and thanks to her excellent performance, became more recognizable in the cinema. Although The Horse Whisperer, directed by Hollywood legend Robert Redford, focused on a romance between two adult characters, Scarlett also played a fairly prominent role. Her heroine was a young girl who lost her leg in an accident. The film was considered visually stunning and received generally positive reviews. Critics applauded the young star, claiming that this is her breakthrough. In the press, interviewers noticed that in this film, Johansson showed maturity beyond her years, and Redford often noted that his young star was 13 going on 30, referring to the film of the same name, the heroine of which dreamed of growing up as soon as possible. In general, it's not surprising that Scarlett was an adult beyond her years, because since childhood, she was in a society where there was no place for infantilism, and where you need to quickly wake up and smell the coffee if you want to achieve something. According to Scarlett herself, she came across things that seemed inappropriate to her quite early. The actress said she definitely was in different situations that were not age-appropriate. But her mom was really good about protecting her while she was under the age of 18. Her mother greatly influenced the formation of Scarlett as a person. She told her daughter, "You have to be your own ally," from a young age, after she'd experienced it even more severely than Scarlett did. The maturity of the actress was also shown in the fact that Johansson literally sifted scripts that came her way. She wisely decided not to accept roles in slashers or teen movies, and she laid low for a while, waiting for a suitable role. In 1999, she joined the cast of My Brother the Pig, and 2 years later starred in the drama The Man Who Wasn't There for the film Ghost World, which was released in 2001. The actress received praise and recognition. The following year, she appeared in Eight-Legged Freaks. In 2003, Scarlett Johansson finally moved from teen roles to adult roles, getting a role in Sofia Coppola's romantic comedy drama Lost in Translation. Scarlett was very interested in the project even before the director finished the script, because Coppola was going to invite Bill Murray to the main role, and he was a real idol for Scarlett. The scene of the film, with a budget of $4 million, shot in just 27 days, was Tokyo.
I was also 17 years old and I was in Tokyo. My mom came with me, thankfully, because it was kind of a isolating feeling. We were working weird hours and working a lot, and I kind of felt transient in that space, that headspace that the character Scarlett is in a little bit, where my life was kind of in between two places, and I was kind of like a girl woman.
With such modest production costs, Lost in Translation managed to collect more than $120 million worldwide and get 4 Oscar nominations, including for Best Picture and Best Directing. Bill Murray later admitted that this picture was the favorite movie of his career. One of the central scenes of the film was inspired by the works of artist John Cassier, so Scarlett was supposed to star in her underwear, but the actress did not immediately decide on this step. The film can really be considered a turning point for Scarlett's career. Bill Murray became a mentor for the young actress and taught her to play as a feature film's dramatic actress. Critics also noticed the changes. For this picture, Scarlett received a lot of praise. She won the BAFTA Award and a Boston Society of Film Critics Award. She was also nominated for the Golden Globe and the Chicago Film Critics Association. In 2004, she starred and voiced many films. There were the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, A Good Woman, The Perfect Score, In Good Company, and A Love Song for Bobby Long. Next, Peter Weber's film Girl with a Pearl Earring premiered, which introduced the audience to the story of John Vermeer's masterpiece. The role of the Danish painter was played by Colin Firth, and Scarlett, according to the script, became a model for the world-famous portrait. Animals were often used on the set of the film, and Johansson literally fell in love with one cat, which she named Merkin. The actress decided that she had to take it for herself and persuaded the team to help her transport the animal from Luxembourg to New York. Thanks to Girl with a Pearl Earring, in 2004, Scarlett was nominated for the Golden Globe Award. Anthony Lane wrote in his review to The New Yorker that her presence kept the film alive. A year later, Woody Allen presented his new drama film Matchpoint to the public, telling about the personal tragedy of former tennis legend Chris Wilton. It was the first of 3 collaborations of the actress with a famous director. The next ones will be Scoop and Vicky Cristina Barcelona. Scarlett has become a real muse for Woody Allen. The director states that she has talent, saying that Johansson is an exciting actress, a natural movie star, real intelligence, quick and funny. And when you meet her, you will have to fight your way through pheromones. He believes that she has the acting ability to not just be a passing pinup girl, but a genuinely meaningful actress. The picture replenished the actress's collection of awards with another nomination for the Golden Globe. Around the time, Scarlett began to be afraid that she was stuck in one image, and her career was over. Scarlett believes that now young actresses have the opportunity to choose roles from a huge variety, and this pleases because in her time, everything was different. Despite the actress's fears, her career has not stopped. In 2005, another large-scale picture was released with the participation of Johansson, but it was radically opposite to Matchpoint in terms of atmosphere. We are talking about Michael Bay's dystopian blockbuster, The Island, where the young woman appeared in a duet with Ewan McGregor. It is said that during the filming, Scarlett had an argument with the director. The incident happened just at the moment of filming the bed scene. The actress insisted that her character should be completely naked in the shot. However, the producers were afraid of a stricter rating. Therefore, after a long skirmish, they still persuaded Scarlett to put on a bra. However, whether this story is true or not, we do not know. Alas, the film was received very coldly, which some shamelessly accused Scarlett of, saying that she could have played sexier. Despite this, Michael Bay states that Scarlett is going to have an amazing career. Not only is she a pain in the ass to work with, and I mean that in the best way, she is classy, she's feisty, she's just very daring, he said, and he was absolutely right. In 2006, with a difference of a couple of months, 3 rating films were released at once. Scoop with Hugh Jackman, The Black Dahlia with Josh Hartnett, and the Oscar-winning The Prestige with the same Jackson and Christian Bale. All 3 roles were extremely diverse. American journalism student Sandra, former prostitute Kay Lake, and magician's assistant Olivia. Christopher Nolan, who directed The Prestige, believed that Johansson had ambiguity and shielded quality. Scarlett admired Nolan's directorial methods and claimed that she enjoyed working with him. The film was a critical and box office success and was recommended by the Los Angeles Times as an adult, provocative work. However, some critics were skeptical about Johansson's acting. For example, Dan Jolin from Empire criticized her English accent. The melodrama The Nanny Diaries is another rather bright, though not critically acclaimed film work by Scarlett of that time. The film tells the audience about the adventures of a girl named Annie who has just graduated from college and is facing a difficult life dilemma: to devote herself to her beloved, but not profitable business, anthropology, or to put her dream on the altar of material stability. In search of a solution, she gets a job in a wealthy family, and in the course of the plot development, she gets acquainted with the Harvard handsome man, Chris Evans. This was not their first joint work, and far from the last. Scarlett says she's always very comfortable filming with Chris.
He's adorable.
Everybody loves him.
And Chris Evans, you've done so many movies. Chris Evans, of course, Captain America. You did how many movies now with him?
I think this is our 5th movie. We've been working together since we were, like, I don't know, 17, I think, or something like that. Yeah.
Wow, so you must know him pretty well.
I know him very well. Too well, I'm sure. I mean...
Everything that he's going to do.
Reviews of Scarlett's performance were mixed, but the film added points to her media level. At the same time, the personal life of the actress did not stand still. She met the Canadian actor Ryan Reynolds, and literally, from the first phrases, the young people realized that their meeting was not accidental. It took less than a year for Ryan to propose to his beloved. After a modest wedding in 2008, the newlyweds purchased a small but cozy house in Los Angeles where they began family life. Alas, the idyll lasted only 2 years. Due to the tight filming schedule, the couple saw each other less and less, until they realized that their feelings had finally faded away. Later, Scarlett admitted that she was sure that a divorce would be inevitable. The first time I got married, I was 23 years old. I didn't really have an understanding of marriage. Maybe I kind of romanticized it, I think, in a way. In 2008, Scarlett Johansson got new opportunities. The creators of superhero action movies drew attention to her talent. The discoverer was director Frank Miller, who invited the girl to the film The Spirit, based on the comic book of the same name from DC Comics. The actress played the cold and unpredictable girlfriend of the main character, and the role of the bad guy. What a surprise! Samuel Jackson took over. The film received poor reviews from critics, who considered it melodramatic, unoriginal, and sexist. Another not very successful work of that year was the historical drama The Other Boleyn Girl. Despite the excellent cast, the film received mixed reviews. After that, Scarlett worked with Woody Allen for the 3rd time, appearing in his romantic comedy drama Vicky Cristina Barcelona. Johansson plays one of the lovers of Javier Bardem's character, along with Penelope Cruz and Rebecca Hall. The film was positively reviewed by critics and turned out to be one of the most profitable in Allen's career. The only role of the actress in 2009 was a role in the ensemble comedy drama He's Just Not That Into You. The film received average reviews. Scarlett was attracted not only by the cinema, but also by the theater scene. Aspiring to appear on Broadway since childhood, Johansson fulfilled this dream in 2010. She made her debut in the revival of Arthur Miller's drama A View from the Bridge. The play tells the tragic story of Eddie, played by Liev Schreiber, who feels an inappropriate love for his wife's orphaned niece Catherine, played by Scarlett. Initially, the actress refused the offer because she did not want to play the teenage character, but Johansson's friend persuaded her to agree to the proposal, and it seems that this was the right decision for the actress. The production, and Scarlett in particular, received good reviews from critics. She even won the Tony Award for her role in the play. This has added fuel to the fire of many years of debate about whether it is appropriate to give theater awards to Hollywood actors who already have plenty of avenues and awards to prove themselves. In response to criticism, Scarlett said that she understands the disappointment of some people, but she worked hard for her achievements, and she is not going to refuse the award.
I never really thought about the Tonys because I had never had an experience on Broadway before. I hadn't done theater since I was like a kid, and I was just learning so much really on the stage every night. It was such an incredibly intense experience.
This experience opened Johansson's eyes to a new world, although the schedule of the theater actress turned out to be exhausting. Nevertheless, she liked this lifestyle. The actress spent time chatting with the team at the service entrance and became part of the wrong side of Times Square. Later, in 2013, she returned to the stage to act in the play Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, which was one of the most popular works of Tennessee Williams. But that time, the critics were not so favorable to the actress. Tom Geyer from Entertainment Weekly wrote that Johansson brought a fierce fighting spirit to her character, but Joe Jovanovich from the Daily News called her game alarmingly one-note. The actress spoke about working on Broadway like this.
I was so absolutely terrified and overwhelmed by the idea of fumbling through the first act, and I wanted to be able to start the rehearsal process and not have to think about finding my words for the most part. And a lot of repetition, yes, 6 weeks of a lot of repetition, but I had help on the way, a lot of very wonderful actors that, sat there for hours with me and would just recite the line again and again and again.
By the end of the noughties, Scarlett was already quite popular, but in 2010, a film that took her to unprecedented heights and made her a global star was released. Scarlett played the role of Black Widow in Jon Favreau's Iron Man 2. The actress admitted that as a child, she didn't really like superhero comics. She preferred books and films. However, the role interested her. They say Johansson wanted the job so badly that she dyed her hair red before she was approved, hoping to convince Favreau that she was the perfect candidate. After the producers told her yes, Scarlett began to prepare for filming. She spent many hours in the gym to learn how to do tricks and went through incredible strength training. Later, the actress said that the character resonated with her and she admired the human traits of her superheroine. The cinematic universe of which she became a part completely fascinated Scarlett. The actress, as it seemed to her, knew what exactly was waiting for her working on the role of Natasha Romanoff. She saw sketches of costumes and talked to those who designed them. Nevertheless, the first acquaintance with the Black Widow's attire was a shock for her. Scarlett said she was literally dumbfounded. The suit looked as if it was not sewn, but built. And this was not so far from the truth. The film earned $623.9 million with a budget of $200 million, and received generally positive reviews from critics, although reviewers criticized the way her character was written. Tim Roby from the Daily Telegraph and Matt Goldberg said that Johansson has nothing to do in such films because according to them, she can't do anything except look attractive. As for Scarlett, she didn't really like how her character was presented in this movie. Years later, she said, "You look back at Iron Man 2, and while it was really fun and had a lot of great moments in it, the character is so sexualized, you know? Really talked about like she's a piece of something, like a possession or a thing or whatever. Like a piece of ass, really. And even Tony refers to her as something like that at one point." Scarlett knows firsthand what objectification of women in cinema is. For a long time, she was perceived only as a pretty actress, and the roles were offered accordingly. Her story is a vivid example of how women were treated in the film industry, and sometimes still are. By the way, Scarlett received the title of the sexiest woman alive from Esquire magazine twice, in 2006 and 2013. When you have the status of a sex symbol, everyone's attention to your person becomes even more intense than to other stars. For many years, there has been a debate whether the actress changed the size of her breasts with the help of plastic surgery. There is an assumption that she increased her breasts in the 90s, and then decided to get rid of the implants most likely before the filming of the movie Avengers: Age of Ultron in 2015. The most common version says that the decision to reduce the breast size was influenced by Johansson's fatigue from the fact that everyone pays attention not to her acting skills, but to her appearance. Scarlett has never commented on these rumors, therefore gossips can only compare her photos from different years and make assumptions. Scarlett is quite active in the feminist movement. She was seen several times at women's marches. In one of her powerful speeches, the actress spoke about her experience in the industry in the early 90s. Many men at that time tried to take advantage of the fact that she was a young woman who didn't have the tools to say no yet, or to understand the value of her own self-worth. She said, "I had many relationships, both personal and professional, where the power dynamic was so off that I had to create a narrative in which I was the cool girl who can hang in and hang out. And that sometimes meant compromising what felt right for me. And that seemed okay. Compromising my voice and therefore allowing myself to be unseen and degraded, whether it was intended by the other party or not, because it allowed me to have the approval that women are conditioned to need."
I was coming from a place, like so many young women do, of feeling like my creative value and my professional value and my sexual value could only be measured by the approval and desirability of a man.
Scarlett believes that the #MeToo movement has prevented men in power from using young actresses in the industry, but there is still a long way to go. She also supports the Time's Up organization, which raises money to support victims of sexual harassment.
It was like the beginning of the Me Too movement. People that are experiencing sexual harassment in the workplace, a lot of those people don't have the resources to defend themselves. That's why, this behavior, this toxic behavior is continued. It's a tremendous organization and a ton of work.
In parallel with her work in Marvel, Scarlett starred in other projects. In 2011, she played the role of Kelly, a zookeeper in the family film We Bought a Zoo with Matt Damon. The film received mostly positive reviews, and critic Ann Bilson praised Johansson for bringing depth to a rather uninteresting character. Johansson received the Teen Choice Award in the category Choice of a Movie Actress Drama for her performance. In 2012, she appeared no longer in a minor role, but as one of the main characters of the movie The Avengers. The film mostly received positive reviews and broke many box office records, becoming the third highest grossing film both in the United States and worldwide. The audience really liked the scene after the credits, but few people know that it was a kind of improvisation. It was filmed a day after the world premiere of The Avengers. That is, initially, only the scene after the credits with Thanos was planned. The idea came to Robert Downey Jr. when, during filming on the streets of New York, he saw the Shawarma Palace restaurant. Then they filmed the scene where superheroes silently eat shawarma, sometimes glancing at each other. By the way, the sales of this restaurant increased several times after the world premiere of the film. Scarlett was nominated for 2 Teen Choice Awards and 3 People's Choice Awards for her performance. Later that year, Johansson played the role of actress Janet Leigh in Sasha Gervasi's Hitchcock, a behind-the-scenes drama about the making of Alfred Hitchcock's 1960 film Psycho. Film critic Roger Ebert wrote that Johansson was not very similar to Leigh, but was able to convey her sharpness, intelligence, and sense of humor. In 2013, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's directorial debut Don John premiered at the Sundance Film Festival. In this romantic comedy drama, Johansson played the role of the girlfriend of a hero addicted to pornography. Gordon-Levitt wrote the role for Scarlett because he had long admired her acting work. The actress took part in the project with pleasure because she had the opportunity to ridicule stereotypes about people with the status of a sex symbol, to which Scarlett is referred. The film received positive reviews, and Johansson's performance was noted by critics. The picture was so successful that it was able to earn $30 million with a budget of $5.5 million. Johansson later voiced the voice assistant Samantha in Spike Jonze's fantasy melodrama, Her. The actress admitted that when she was initially invited to work on this film, she thought it would be ordinary voice acting, which would take at most 2 days. As a result, everything turned out to be much more complicated, and at first Scarlett was afraid that she would not be able to cope. However, her fears were in vain. Her role in the movie Her, Scarlett proved that she's a worthwhile actress not only because of her bright appearance.
There was a lot of issues with the character and her story and her evolution. As Spike was kind of in post, was finding that the relationship between these 2 characters was shifting as he was putting it together, and the character kind of needed to be fleshed out as almost as a whole, I'd say, person, even though she's an AI, but she needed to feel like this full-dimensional character.
The film premiered at the 8th International Rome Film Festival, where Johansson won the award for Best Actress. She was also nominated for the Critics' Choice Movie Award. Film critic Peter Travers called Johansson's voice in the film cute, sexy, caring, manipulative, scary, and also worthy of awards. She creates a complex, full-bodied character without any body at all, said Variety's reviewer Scott Foundas. And it seems to demonstrate that Johansson is a much better actor than she's often given credit for. Directors have a habit, as here, of lingering on her face, her body, and failing to give her much of anything else at all. Her was rated as one of the best films of 2013. Scarlett won the Saturn Award for Best Supporting Actress at the 40th Awards ceremony. Later, the actress got a role in Jonathan Glazer's low-budget sci-fi film Under the Skin, where she played an extraterrestrial being who, disguised as a femme fatale, hunts men in Scotland. The adaptation of Mikhail Faber's novel of the same name took a long period of her free time. For this role, Scarlett learned to drive a van and speak with an English accent. Interestingly, many of the characters we saw in the film were not actors. Many of the participants in the shooting simply did not recognize the actress because they did not believe that Scarlett Johansson could really stand in front of them. The author's movie, with a minimum number of replicas and the generalized nature of what was happening, was different from all the previous works of the actress. Because it brings up so many questions, she enthusiastically admitted after the release of the film, one of the journalists that I was talking to today. We ended up talking about the relativity of time, whereas normally it's like, so, what do you find sexy in a guy? Or, if you had a superpower, what would it be? The film was a breath of fresh air for her, an opportunity to try herself in something non-standard. But the audience's reaction to the movie on the day of the premiere at the Venice Film Festival scared Scarlett. Then, at the end, when the lights came up, there was this sound of people cheering and booing at the same time, but with equal gusto, the actress recalls. I didn't know how to react to it. I think I wouldn't say disturbed, but I was sort of shocked. I looked over at Jonathan and he was filled with glee, absolutely thrilled. We left the theater and I was like, that was so strange. And Jonathan was like, that was the best reaction. That was the most amazing sound I've ever heard in my life. The film received numerous praises and awards and was ranked 61st on the BBC's 100 Greatest Films of the 21st Century list. Erin Whitney, writing for the Huffington Post, considered this role the best performance of an actress at that time. The film earned Johansson a nomination at the British Independent Film Awards. Continuing her work in the MCU, Johansson returned to the role of the Black Widow in the film Captain America: The Winter Soldier in 2014. In the film, she joined forces with Captain America, played by Chris Evans, and Falcon, played by Anthony Mackie, to uncover the conspiracy in S.H.I.E.L.D. Johansson and Evans wrote their own dialogues for several scenes that played together. Scarlett liked that this time she needed to use her cunning and ingenuity, not physical attractiveness. In the new film, it turned out that the actress and her heroine have even more in common. When Steve Rogers and Natasha Romanoff encountered Zola's supercomputer, it identifies Natasha as being born in 1984, the same year as Scarlett. The film was a critical and commercial success, grossing over $714 million worldwide. The role has traditionally earned Johansson's nominations for the Saturn Awards, MTV Movie Awards, and Teen Choice Awards. In 2015 and 2016, Johansson again played the Black Widow in the MCU films Avengers: Age of Ultron and Captain America: Civil War. During the filming of the first film, a mixture of close-ups, camouflage costumes, and visual effects were used to hide her pregnancy. The father of the child is Romain Dariec, a journalist whom Scarlett met in 2012, thanks to their common tattoo artist. Also, due to Johansson's pregnancy, 3 understudies were involved in the film, which caused a lot of confusion among the other actors. The girls were very similar to Scarlett. Chris Evans even said that he seriously thought he was talking to Johansson, even though it wasn't her.
No.
Come on!
She refuses.
God, you don't know anything about me.
It's over.
No.
As for the tricks, the actress tried to perform a significant part of them on her own. For example, none of the understudies were allowed to drive a motorcycle by Johansson. Complex tricks did not prevent Scarlett from giving birth to a healthy girl in 2014 who was named Rose Dorothy Dariec. The trailer of the film was watched 34 million times on YouTube in the first 24 hours, thereby breaking the record that previously belonged to the trailer Iron Man 3. For Captain America: Civil War, Johansson received her second Critics' Choice Movie Award nomination and her 4th Saturn Award nomination. Also in 2016, Scarlett appeared in the well-received comedy film by the Coen brothers, Hail Caesar. Scarlett plays the role of an actress who became pregnant during the filming of the movie. They say the Coen brothers specifically created the character for Johansson to convey her experience of filming in Marvel while pregnant. By the way, about motherhood, it certainly affected her work schedule and her perception of life in general. Scarlett believes that being a working mom is an incredible challenge and it's an incredible gift. Scarlett does not try to pretend that she is the perfect mother who manages everything. "I don't profess to know anything more about parenting than anybody else," she admitted once. "Before, I just made the choices that were affecting me, but now I'm responsible for somebody else. Eventually, I will have to work less, and it might even make me more discerning." In 2016, Scarlett voiced Kaa in the adaptation of Jon Favreau's The Jungle Book by Disney, and teenage porcupine punk rocker Ash in the animated musical comedy Sing. In the same year, she recorded an audiobook where she read Lewis Carroll's children's novel, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Another action movie was next. Johansson played Motoko Kusanagi in the 2017 film adaptation of Rupert Sanders' Ghost in the Shell franchise. The film was praised for its visual style, acting, and cinematography, but it became the subject of controversy due to the fact that the cast consisted of white actors. Johansson's character, a cyborg who was supposed to keep memories of a Japanese woman, was especially actively debated. Responding to the negative reaction, the actress said she would never play a black character but wanted to take advantage of a rare opportunity to star in a female franchise. Ghost in the Shell grossed $169.8 million worldwide with a production budget of $110 million. In March 2017, Johansson hosted Saturday Night Live for the 5th time, making her the 17th person and the 4th woman to enter the prestigious NBC sketch comedy Five Timers Club. Scarlett admitted that participating in SNL was one of the singular most rewarding experiences in her career, and the filming process was not as simple as it might seem at first glance. The most challenging part of hosting SNL was the stamina that it required.
Because that week of work is so intense between whatever pieces you have to learn, whether it's a song or doing like a digital short or whatever other kind of pre-tape you have to do, fittings, promo stuff, the monologue, it's so much work for the host, and you're pulled in every different direction and everyone needs you all the time.
At the same time, paparazzi spread news about changes in the actress's personal life, claiming that she appeared at a social event with actor and SNL author Colin Jost. Later, it became known that Scarlett was in the process of divorcing her husband. Johansson was originally going to seek sole custody of her daughter. At the same time, Dariak was determined to do the same. He trained Scarlett was not the best mother, who always cared only for herself and her career. As a result, it was decided that Rose Dorothy could spend time with both her mother and father. The girl did not have to worry about the breakup of adults, as Scarlett once had to worry. A few years later, reflecting on what it's like to be a single mother, Scarlett said, "I felt in the past there's such a loneliness to being a single parent. Obviously, it's a lot of different things at once, but there can be a loneliness and this constant feeling of doubt that you don't know what the hell you're doing and you don't have anyone else to bounce it off of. You maybe have doubts about your life. How did I get here?" It's not all the time, but those moments creep in, and they creep in at weird times. Meanwhile, her romance with Colin Jost was developing rapidly. They met many years ago when Scarlett first hosted SNL, and Colin worked there as a screenwriter for the first year. They crossed paths from time to time, but then the actress was in a relationship with other men. Therefore, although she noted Jost's attractiveness, she did not attach any importance to it. It was only years later that all the stars came together and they were finally able to see something special in each other.
And I just want to say that this place means so much to me. I have so many friends here, and I met the love of my life here. Merry Christmas.
He's very charming and very thoughtful and romantic, Scarlett said in an interview in 2019. Well, the first gift from a lover was far from romantic. One day, Colin left in her apartment a taxidermied bullfrog who played the banjo.
I guess I was in the room. He left to go to work or whatever. When I came out, it was just sitting on the floor and with a little card that said like, "Hi, Scarlett," or something like that. It was just so creepy. And then I tried to get rid of it, but I felt bad throwing it away because it was the first present he got me. And so he would just move it around to different parts of my house.
But that's why he's a comedian. In 2018, the actress again embodied the image of Black Widow on the screen in Avengers: Infinity War. A year later, she appeared in Avengers: Endgame, which for a long time was the highest-grossing film of all time. Do you want to talk about the scale? 2 movies were shot one by one. Filming began at the end of January 2017 and lasted until mid-July. Scarlett became so attached to her character and the Marvel Cinematic Universe that she offered Chris Evans to get identical tattoos. Other Avengers also liked this idea, so soon similar tattoos appeared on the hands of Robert Downey Jr., Jeremy Renner, and Chris Hemsworth. The tattoo is a modified logo of the Avengers with the number 6 inside, according to the number of superheroes in the original team. Only Mark Ruffalo refused the idea. Well, it is quite in the spirit of Bruce Banner, isn't it? The release of Avengers: Infinity War was 10 years after the release of the first film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Iron Man, in 2008. During this period of time, Marvel has released 18 films, as well as 11 television series. For reference, if the MCU were a human, it would be a child old enough to be in the 5th grade. Reflecting on the path taken by her heroine in the franchise, Scarlett recalled that initially Natasha was treated exclusively as an ornament. However, Scarlett saw her differently. I think actually Natasha uses her sexuality as a means to feel, sort of manipulate a situation and then be coquettish and sly. And then she's going to take your legs out, right? She's going to be seductive in this way, and that's her power. Her power is in her sexuality. And then that changed over time, right? Johansson said, her strength was actually her vulnerability. In Endgame, she sacrifices herself out of love. She saves her friend. She saves everyone. And I think just being in that kind of headspace and being able to make that decision, that selfless act, is so incredibly powerful. 2019 was a very fruitful year for the actress. She appeared in Noah Baumbach's Marriage Story from Netflix. Adam Driver and Johansson played a couple who filed for divorce. The work was not easy and required a lot of endurance from the actors. Noah Baumbach likes everything to be clearly scripted, word for word, so he could do 45 to 50 takes before finally being satisfied with the result.
You know, that's it, and every hesitation and every unfinished sentence and everyone talking over one another is all completely scripted and nothing is improvised. And
nothing is improvised in that movie?
Not a single word.
You guys both need Oscars.
There's a widespread opinion that Johansson managed to find a connection with the heroine due to the fact that, at that time, she was in the process of her own divorce. However, the actress made it clear in an interview. It felt similar somehow, but not because of what I'd been experiencing then, but maybe because of how I grew up and the dynamic between my parents, or maybe because I've known women who've dedicated themselves to their partner's vision and then come out of this decade-long relationship feeling almost like a ghost.
Shooting this movie was exhausting. Noah Baumbach, our director, is relentless, and in the best way. You know, it's through that work, actually, that I think you get, like, such good rawness. It was really one of, like, the best experiences I've ever had as an actor. I loved going to work every day. I was excited.
In the same year, the actress got a minor role in Taika Waititi's satire Jojo Rabbit. She embodied on the screen the image of the mother of the main character who sheltered a Jewish girl in Nazi Germany. Waititi modeled the character after his own mother. The film amazingly combines comedy with the dramatic context of the story.
What? I love my country. I'm the biggest Deutsche fan, German fan. I'm a Deutsche Path. I'm a Germaniac, is what I am. I'm a Germaniac.
This is really one of Scarlett's most powerful roles. She was able to embody a complex image on the screen for what has been rewarded. Johansson received her first 2 Oscar nominations for her roles in Marriage Story and Jojo Rabbit, becoming the 12th actress nominated for 2 Oscars in the same year. She also received 2 BAFTA nominations for these films and a Golden Globe nomination for Marriage Story. Participation in such successful films allowed Johansson to top the Forbes list of the highest paid actresses in 2019. That year was fruitful not only in cinema, but also in the personal life of the actress. There were rumors that she was preparing for a wedding with Colin Jost. Eventually, it was confirmed by Scarlett's agent. Later, the actress appeared at Comic-Con, where she showed off an engagement ring with a huge diamond. They got married in 2020 in a private ceremony with their closest relatives and close friends, following precautions in connection with COVID-19. All the guests wore masks and got COVID tests, as there were many of Colin's elderly relatives among the guests, and the couple wanted to protect them.
You know, I mean, it's definitely was a weird party favor that could only happen now.
That's very true.
But you just got to go with it. Got to go with it. And we were just so happy to see, even though it was small and it was beautiful, and we were so happy to see people that we hadn't seen in such a long time.
Their wedding wish was to help make a difference for vulnerable elderly people at this difficult time. Therefore, everyone who wanted to congratulate the couple was offered to make donations to Meals on Wheels, the program that delivered meals to individuals at home who were unable to purchase or prepare their own meals. After a year-long absence from the screen, Johansson returned in the role of Black Widow in a solo prequel film in 2021. The film takes place after the events of Captain America's Civil War, where Johansson's character is on the run and is also forced to confront his past. She saw this as an opportunity to show her heroine's ability to be independent and make choices for herself, facing difficult times, and noted that her vulnerability sets her apart from other Avengers. I think Natasha has a lot of compassion, and that's not necessarily what I would have anticipated when we were filming Iron Man 2 or Avengers or whatever. Scarlett said, "You've seen glimpses of it, and it's developed over time, as we've been able to bring the character to the forefront in different installments. But she's a very compassionate person, and that passion is actually what drives a lot of her decision-making. I mean, she's also practical and pragmatic, and I don't think those two things have to necessarily work against each other. That part of her is what really touches me." Initially, the concept of the film was different. Scarlett said that in one of the variants, there were 2 women in the center of the story who compete with each other, trying to overthrow one another.
This thing that you do when you whip your hair when you're fighting with the arm and the hair, and you do like a fighting pose. It's a fighting pose. You're a total poser.
I'm not a poser.
It didn't seem interesting to her. It just didn't feel like what I wanted to explore, and I think what really audiences wanted to see, Scarlett remembers. It just felt very old-fashioned and not true, and so taking that feeling and running with that instinct, the relationship developed into what it is, which is, it's a relationship that I think is grounded in a shared experience and a knowingness and a sisterhood. Scarlett also acted as the executive producer of the picture. Florence Pugh enthusiastically talked about the professionalism of a colleague. Critics were generally favorable in their reviews of the film, mostly praising the performance of Johansson and Pugh. For Black Widow, Scarlett received the Female Movie Star of 2021 award at the 47th People's Choice Awards. This is how Natasha Romanoff's path in the MCU ended.
It's been a joy. Like every step of the way has been an absolute joy. And getting to go back to, every year and a half or 2 years as we were making these films and like see everybody again. Everybody's lives had, taken the next step, or people had kids or gotten married, or, the whole crew all coming back together. It just was something I always looked forward to. And I'm just incredibly proud of this chapter of my life, my professional life.
In parallel with the release of the film on the screens, there were rumors that Scarlett was in an interesting position. She missed almost all the events dedicated to the release of Black Widow and tried to avoid interviews in every possible way. As a result, her husband dispelled all speculation, confirming that they are really expecting a child. Their son was born on August 18, 2021. The couple gave him an unusual name, Cosmo.
Yeah, we just threw a bunch of letters together.
We're like, that works.
Yeah, it just seemed like a really kind of, I just thought it was so charming, and then, our friends all liked it.
By this point, her daughter had already begun to realize that her mother was a famous actress and was delighted when she found out that Scarlett had voiced bright characters in several cartoons. "I think she's pretty excited about the fact that I'm in Sing 2, Johansson said. Although it's probably more abstract to her, like she just recently figured out how animated movies work, because that's kind of a surreal kind of concept. In 2021, fans were shocked by the news that Johansson had sued the Disney Film Company. The reason for the lawsuit was that the film was released in theaters and on the Disney Plus platform at once. This, according to the actress, violates her contract. Scarlett expected that her salary for the film would be largely based on the box office from cinema. The lawsuit noted that initially, Johansson's representatives asked for guarantees from Disney and Marvel that the solo film about Black Widow would be shown only in cinemas, despite the company's proposal to release it on the Disney Plus platform and increase the number of subscribers. However, Disney insisted that they had fulfilled Johansson's contract. Besides, the release of the film on Disney Plus would allow her to receive additional compensation to the $20 million she received. As a result, in September of the same year, both sides announced that they had resolved their dispute. However, the terms of the settlement remained undisclosed. Not everyone knows that Scarlett Johansson has been trying to build a musical career for many years.
These boots were made for walking. That's just what they'll do. 'Cause one of these days these boots are gonna walk all over me.
At the age of 13, she became a member of the teenage rock band The Mohawks. The band consisted exclusively of girls who gave concerts at local talent contests and clubs in New York. However, 3 years later they broke up due to creative differences. Then there was the indie rock band The Itch and Speechless, which was led by Scarlett's brother Hunter. After Speechless's breakup in 2003, Johansson decided to build a solo career. In 2006, she recorded a cover version of Summertime for the compilation Unexpected Dreams. The following year, Pete Yorn invited Johansson to record in a joint album. According to the musician, he was very afraid that Scarlett could not sing and even agreed with Zooey Deschanel just in case. But it was in vain. Johansson had a very clear and voluminous voice. The released record was called Relator. Scarlett's first album, titled Anywhere I Lay My Head, was released in 2008 on Atco Records and included covers of Tom Waits. Critics gave mixed reviews to Johansson's work. For example, Pitchfork gave the album a score of 5.5. So making an album seemed like a really exciting adventure for her. In February 2015, Scarlett formed a band called The Singles with Est Haim from the group Haim, Holly Miranda, Kendra Morris, and Julie Holligan. The band's first single was called Candy. Alas, the musical collective soon broke up due to the fact that another group called Single issued an order to cease operations. A year later, Scarlett performed Trust in Me for the Jungle Book soundtrack, as well as Set It All Free and I Don't Want To for Sing Original Motion Picture Soundtrack. In 2018, Johansson collaborated with Pete Yorn again for a mini-album called Apart, released on June 1st. It is unlikely that her music career can be called very successful, but Scarlett's best days still lie ahead. Johansson owns a gourmet popcorn shop in Paris and also just loves baking cupcakes, considering it her superpower. Scarlett is a chain smoker. She claims that she started smoking at the age of 15. Since then, she has been unsuccessfully trying to break this bad habit. The actress is afraid of everything that flies and crawls. Birds and cockroaches have been specifically mentioned more than once. In 2022, Scarlett joined a long list of celebrities who have their own cosmetics brand. She launched a line of skincare products called The Outset. At the moment, it is known that Scarlett Johansson will play the main role in the television adaptation of John Katzenbach's novel Just Cause on Amazon, and in the film about the space race project Artemis for Apple TV+. Scarlett Johansson has come a long way, from a promising teenage actress to a world-class star. In 2022, The Hollywood Reporter named Scarlett one of the 40 most popular celebrities. And although her path in the MCU is over, we are sure that Scarlett will delight us more than once with roles in high-profile, high-quality projects.